Hello, everyone. I wanted to walk through the new Yours wallet and I guess kind of make a call out for anyone who wants to help test. Um, Everything has been merged to the main branch on GitHub, yours-org/yours-wallet. That is the repo. I think we've got instructions for how to build it and how to load it into your wallet and everything. But essentially, in the browser, there's this Chrome clone / extensions. You can turn on development mode. You can say load unpacked, and you can load the extension after you've built it. So I already have this set up with keys that I've imported. I have two different wallets here. One is one of my oldest test wallets in the in kind of the whole ordinals ecosystem world, and then I've got some modern testing stuff. But so I guess kind of goes through some of the base functionality. Nothing's really changed in the ordinals tab. I mean, there's been some redesign and some UI cleanup. And then similarly, we've got our BSV. We've got built-in support for money as well as other BSV21 tokens. You can go ahead and you'll see which ones are in your wallet. You can activate them, and then they will show up in your balances down here. So from the surface, this doesn't actually look a whole lot differently. But under the covers, it is entirely different. So this is a BRC100 wallet. And what that means is there's a standard set of interfaces that the wallet provides that is the same as every other BRC100 wallet. So we have this test app right here, which I'm going to go through briefly, that does illustrate, actually, I'm going to clear all my permissions and we'll look at this fresh. Uh-oh. Apparently my dev server is not actually running anymore. Well, anyways, I will let that be and I'll come back to that. Within the wallet itself, we have a number of kind of configuration options, which when you first stand this up, it's going to walk you through some of those. But one of the big ones is remote backup. So in the old world of Yours wallet, you had like 3 hard-coded addresses. And those addresses held every asset you'll ever own in the wallet, which one does make things kind of easy, but it also completely kind of leaks all sorts of privacy. And everything you do across those different addresses fully identifies that those are all the same person. They were written with the same keys. So BRC100 wallets do much more address derivations. And in fact, you almost have to kind of work around it in order to reuse the same addresses over and over again. And that's not quite true. I mean, it's totally supported, but it's not the main use case within BRC100. Anyways, all that to say, when things are in your wallet and you lose your keys or you lose your backups, in the old world, we could just look up, hey, these are my 3 addresses. What's everything that's in my wallet? And a block explorer can recreate your wallet balances for you. In the BRC100 world, things are not nearly so deterministic. What you've done with your account, who you've interacted with, what apps have paid you or have you have paid, they're all going to have different addresses that get derived. So there isn't any, I import my keys and boom, everything's there. Now we still have that from the old wallets, and I'll walk through some of that in a second. But from the new BRC-100 wallets, having a full backup of your data is of vital importance. If you lose your keys, if you don't lose your keys, but you lose your wallet backups, we have no way of knowing what assets belong to your keys unless you already know what the derivations were. So it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing. Anyways, all that to say, we have this remote configuration right here. The browser extension is going to save all of your data locally in an IndexedDB database in the browser. But as soon as you uninstall your browser, as soon as the local storage gets reclaimed by the browser, as soon as anything happens to that browser and the data within your browser, your wallet is gone. So we have this capability here to add additional wallet storages. And they can be either as a backup. So in this case, we've got information here for our 1SAT storage, which we give everyone a gigabyte free. And then it's $1 per gigabyte per month beyond that. Or you can run your own little local wallet providers or remote wallet providers, your own storage providers that you can back up your data with. So basically, backing up is a vital, important piece that people have to think about with their wallets now. I do have this. Oh, no, I already have this wallet.1SAT.app set up as a backup storage provider. For any of these storage providers, you can make them active. And so, for instance, if you want to have multiple instances of yours wallet that are sharing the same keys and sharing the same data, you need them both to have an active remote wallet that they can both talk to. Otherwise, your wallets are going to end up getting out of sync with each other. Anyways, that's important background information to know. Okay, so another thing I want to show here is this migrate legacy assets. So as I said, in the old Yours wallet, everything belonged in 3 addresses: your BSV address, your ORD address, and your account address. So this sweep page basically allows you to take your old assets, like this gay frog here. Let's grab this one as well. And I can sweep it from my old keys into my new BRC-100 wallet. So I can sweep that. And we should see a gay frog down here. Yep, there he is. Plus a cat on a chair. Similarly with our BSV. Let's go 25,000. Satoshis. So I'm going to sweep those, boom, and oops. I didn't look at how much I had before, but we can tell from this BSV funding, it did actually sweep that out. So this is all just tooling to get your existing assets from your old keys into Yours wallet. And similarly, if I go into tools here, sweep private key, I can actually just enter a WIF and that will bring me to the same page, and any assets that are in that key, BSV or different assets, can be swept into your Yours wallet. Now this sweep page has some functional limitations on it, in that, for instance, these are my BSV21 tokens that I have in this wallet. You'll notice it is showing me which ones are actually paid up in our overlay, so we know that these outputs are valid. So same funding mechanism we've had for years on the token transfers, which is basically for every transfer that happens on a token, we charge 1,000 Satoshis for every output in the system. And we will pull those in, we will validate them, we will know which UTXOs are valid and which ones are counterfeit or are screwed up or are broken or whatever. If we just had a generic sweep that allowed you to sweep in any BSV21s through this interface, and we didn't do the validations, you could end up burning a bunch of your valid tokens. So we'll leave that as an exercise outside of this tool. So essentially, BSV21's only paid up and validated token IDs can be transferred through this user interface. BSV20s are not actually validatable in an overlay at all. So those, for all intents and purposes, are deprecated out of Yours Wallet support. But other tools can do whatever they want to keep those alive. Okay, so that's the sweep. Here's the wallet. Again, there's not a whole lot that is actually changed other than a slight update and a couple new tools from the actual extension UI itself. So let me look at let me get this little test app stood up. So this test app, once I get it going again, is essentially mimicking any website out there that wants to connect to your Yours Wallet. So this emulates something like a oneset.market or a site that you want to log in with your Yours Wallet or with your BRC100 credentials or let's see. Okay. I shouldn't have had that pop up yet. Go away, refresh. Okay. So the first step here is to connect in your BRC100 wallet. Now, this interface, this wiring is not just for Yours Wallet. It's literally for any BRC100 wallet. In fact, in theory, there might still be something wrong with the wiring in this, but I'm not going to try that. I should be able to, if I didn't have Yours Wallet turned on, but I had BSV Desktop running, that should work here. So if I go connect wallet, it's going to basically discover what wallet is available in our runtime that provides the BRC100 interface. So then Yours Wallet's going to ask me, hey, this site wants to connect. Do you want to let them connect? So the site is requesting from the user's wallet for the user wallet to grant access for that DApp to access this wallet. So I'm going to go connect. Okay, so every site in the BRC100 world can define a manifest. And that manifest basically says, these are the different kind of permissions from the user's wallet that I am requesting. So this site, when it's asking the user for access to their wallet, it's also asking, can I access these different baskets of UTXOs? So can I know what ordinals this user owns? Can I know what BSV21 tokens they own? Can I know what locks they own? Can I know what OpenS they own? Can I know what social stuff they own? So basically, all of these are different organizational baskets within the BRC100 wallet where different types of outputs get stored. So also notice on here, this is asking for spending authorization to say, I want to be able to spend 100,000 Satoshis from this wallet. Now I'm going to grant all these other permissions down below, but I'm not going to grant that spending permission. So what we've done there, if I go back into my wallet, I go permissions. So for localhost this, I have given this site access to review my identity key, which is just, this is what my global public identity public key is. And then I can access those different baskets that were identified. So from here, because I granted all those things, I can pull up what the user's ordinals are. There's our gay frog from before. I can pull up the BSV21 token balances the user has. I can hit money and pull up my money balance. I don't have any of that. So the interface that this app is running with is actually from bopenio/OneSat SDK. So this SDK we've been spending a lot of effort on, and it's got a bunch of different NPM packages in it that all do lots of different standard things using BRC100, but also kind of providing a OneSat ordinals and OneSat ecosystem layer on top of the BRC100 standard. So coming up with those standard basket names and the rules for what types of assets get put into which types of baskets, all of that is handled through this OneSat SDK. Now in here, we have a CLI, which makes it super easy for agents, AI agents, to have their own wallets, their own ability to interact with everything that we can interact through this user interface are all defined within actions in this OneSat SDK. And that's got actions for locks and for ordinals and for payments and for social messages and for sweeping fees and for BSV21 tokens and all the different types of things we do in the OneSat ecosystem. These get nailed down to essentially being a method that says send BSV, transfer ordinal, transfer BSV21. And from there, you just pass into it essentially an instance of a BRC100 wallet. You pass into it a pointer to the web services that it depends upon, and that's it. And so any BRC100 wallet, whether it be this OneSat CLI that we were just talking about, or yours wallet, or Metadata desktop, or anything, any page that you're interacting with can call these methods, pass in whatever wallet they have access to, and that will kind of automate whatever actions you need. So if I look at stuff is pretty well documented for agents. Let's see here. This is probably more technical than I need to go, but let me just search here for exit. Oops. Okay. So here's this get ordinals method. So this basically knows how to interact with your BRC100 wallet, knows kind of the standards for how all the ordinals are stored within it. And so it knows how to perform the appropriate lookups to any BRC100 wallet to get back, hey, what are my ordinals? So to just kind of go through some of what those actions are and what we have defined already, we have send BSV. So let me go here. So, oops, I want to actually get it from my other account. Okay, so here we have 5681 are our last four digits. So if I transfer 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is popping me up now. This is a float. This page, when it was written, it wrote in its manifest file, I want to be able to spend 100,000 Satoshis. Now, we the first time said, no, we're not going to grant you that permission. Well, now, because that setting is still there, and because this site said, I want to be able to spend 100,000 Satoshis, I'm actually going to say deny again. I'm going to say, no, you don't get to spend up to 100,000. Oh, interesting. It's supposed to and did before. Oh, let me go allow select. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I clicked allow selected. Let me make a note of that for myself. So I said allow, but I didn't do the checkbox. So anyways, so it granted permissions to do nothing. And now it's prompting me the exact same permission, but not for 100,000 Satoshis, for the exact thing that I'm trying to do here. So I'm trying to send 1,020 or 1,234 Satoshis. It's prompting me that I want to send 1257, which is 1234 sats for the output, and then a 23 Satoshi network fee. I'm going to say allow. So that whole pre-requesting 100,000 Satoshis, that's something that this site is asking for specifically. And that's why that kind of got hounded. So if you don't need to ask your users to pre-approve a certain amount of spending, don't put that permission prompt in your permissions. Anyways, should be able to see now that my last four are 4424. So we definitely sent that BSV out. We can go to what's on chain. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can also, I don't have any money in this address. We can inscribe things. So if I want to say this is a test inscription. Okay, so this is actually a slightly different permission prompt, but this is basically showing, okay, this user wants to create an inscription. Tells you, actually, this has nothing to do with spending right now. I'm going to go approve. That worked. Okay, I have an inscription here. Decode. Oh, well, it's just a text. I don't need to do it there. Uh-oh. There we go. This is a test inscription that got inscribed on chain. So again, all the different kind of ways that you want to interact with your OneSat. Oh, I just realized what t-shirt I'm wearing today. Any of the stuff that you want to interact with your assets, using those actions basically takes care of all the logic for you. So if you have an app that wants to transfer ordinals or receive payments or mint new ordinals or whatever, that OneSat CLI can do it. The actions are there in the OneSat SDK that any wallet can do it. And that CLI is just a BRC-100 wallet. So yours wallet and the OneSat CLI, which have completely different ways of interacting with them, are using almost entirely the same code end to end. It's just kind of the user interface pieces that are different. So there are actions out here to transfer your BSV21s, to list items on the marketplace, to cancel listings, to purchase listings that are out there. You can do signing of message. We have BAP identities now. So this is something that's honestly, it's probably been around as long as BSV has, or very, very close. So BAP is something created by Siggy, who's also the lead developer on Terranode. And it's a identity system, but not an identity system where I'm proving to you privately some information so that you can let me in. It's more about public attestations and public profiles and me posting on Tree Chat or posting on Twitch or whatever. So those posts right now already have a signature that is being written into the post, a cryptographic signature. So this BAP identity is kind of the other side of that, where you publish a BAP identity and it's tied to those same signing keys. And so any post you've made on Tree Chat, assuming they wire all this stuff up, is signed with the address that is the signing address for your BAP identity, and therefore a public identity gets associatable to the actual on-chain activity that you have published. So in Yours Wallet, we've got a, where is it? Identity. So in here, we can choose from our ordinals to be our profile image. Obviously, I've just got test information right here, but name and a description of yourself. These become, so we have this BAP overlay that is running right now. And so every one of these identities are maintained and validated and lookupable via our BAP overlay. And so that allows us to say, okay, I see this transaction that was signed by this address at this point in time. Let me find out, first of all, is that a valid signing address at that point in time? Has this person registered their profile? Is this something that BAP knows about? And then in BAP, there's this whole concept of key rotation. So I was signing with this key up until this point, and then I rotated, and now new signatures are all coming from this next key. And so you can, based on looking at block heights where signatures were recorded on chain and block heights where key rotations were recorded on chain, you can cross-reference and essentially validate that a signature did belong to a given identity record at a given time. We've got locks and unlocks supported in the actions. Yeah. So essentially, the major updates from a user standpoint on Yours are all about the underlying wiring and how you communicate, how you, from a consuming website, call into Yours Wallet. So previously there was like this Yours API that just got injected into the page. And that's where all the web page to Yours communication happened, was via that Yours API. That doesn't exist anymore. What there now is what gets injected into the web page console is window.cwi. So this is a BRC 100 standard. So from here, I can go window.cwi.list outputs. Now let's just, I don't actually know the parameters I need for this. I can't even type either. Anyways, the interface of what it injects into your page is this window.cwi. Window.cwi is a BRC 100 interface, which means anything that's looking for a BRC 100 wallet is going to find that. And when I hit this connect, that's exactly what it's doing. So you'll see it's going out, it's checking for various standard ways that BRC 100 wallets expose themselves on the local network. So it's checking my local host port 3301, my local host 2121. I don't know what these other wallets are, but these are other BRC 100 wallets whose detection logic is built into the TypeScript SDK tooling from BSVA. So Yours Wallet is just kind of injecting itself as one of those detected types. And so it detects it, it finds it, I can get all my information here. So again, this is not in the Chrome store yet. This update isn't. And we would really like to get some devs and some technical people to start playing with it, to start helping us validate that their use cases are covered and that it doesn't break. And essentially, there's a lot of changes under the covers, and people have been very frustrated with Yours Wallet for a long time, for good reason, because it's been in a pretty unhealthy state. This is an entire rewrite from scratch, and we don't want to roll it out until we know that it actually is working well. Now, we've been internally testing it, Dan and I, for a couple weeks now. Been cleaning up bugs as we come across them. It's getting pretty solid, and I would love for some people to test it out. Let me know what you find, especially test out the scripting and interacting with it. And if you got any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or Discord. And yeah, hit me up with questions, help out, and let me know how I can help. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.